Three pillars make up Florida's economy today: agriculture, tourism, and construction. They're all doing poorly. Agriculture just looks better because they're never particularly glamorous. They just stable Mabel, doing their own thing. You know, you hear about the farmer who won the lottery. He just said, "What are you going to do with it?" He said, "Well, I'm going to keep on farming until the money's gone." It's not really that agriculture is doing so much better than tourism and construction. It's just that relative to those two it is. But we can't continue to be dependent on just those three pillars. We have to diversify that economy. That means building on our strengths in higher education, building on our strengths in the biosciences that were, frankly, investments made back in the Jeb Bush administration that now have us Scripps, Torrey Pines, Burnham, other major technology sectors looking at coming to Florida. That's how you diversify that. We go to the Californias of the world and we say, "We know you love California. You'll love Florida. It's a little bit more humid. But we offer you a better place to do business and a vibrant higher education community." I believe we can take some of the most talented faculty members and entrepreneurs that they have to offer. I think if you look at the Rust Belt, where there are family manufacturers who build things, create things. They're not trading paper on Wall Street. They make things with intrinsic value. And we say, we know that the loss of the auto industry is the last straw. We want you to come to the South, especially to Florida, where your labor costs will be cut in half. We want to send trade delegations not to Europe, but to New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, and say to those businessmen and women, look, we know that if you can be successful here, you can be successful in Beijing, because the regulatory system is about the same. And we know that probably your assets are going to end up in Florida at some point in your life anyway. But we would like you to be here 3 decades sooner so that you can build and grow your businesses, hire your employees, add your manufacturing lines, purchase your new equipment, service all of those things in Florida. Not in Schenectady, not in Utica, not in Troy, not in Rochester, not in Newark, but in Florida. That's the opportunity for us to pivot out of this Great Recession and build on our strengths, make the most of other people's downturns, and come out of this with a more diverse economy than we went into it. But there are game changers out there. I want to talk about the game changers for Florida. The space industry, number one. The shuttle has about 8 launches left. It's going up tonight at midnight, allegedly. There are only about either 7 or 8 more left after that. We cannot take for granted that Florida will continue to control the launch mission of the American space program. We can't afford to lose it. You talk about high skill, high wage jobs, bright people who want a vibrant community culture around them. That would be devastating to the east coast of Florida. That's a game changer, and there's no guarantee that Florida will hang on to the subsequent vehicles that will be part of the U.S. space fleet. The Panama Canal will be deepened and widened within 5 years. How will that affect Florida? It means that all that stuff that we buy from China doesn't have to stop in California anymore. It can come on trucking through the new improved Panama Canal, and then do they stop in Florida? Or do they pass us by also and stop in Savannah? Or keep on going and not stop till they get to Newark? That's a game changer. A new improved Panama Canal is a game changer for any city in Florida that has a seaport. Renewable energy is a game changer for Florida. 1/3 of Florida's acreage is in agriculture. Agriculture will not look the same in a decade as it even looks today, and it is dramatically different today than it was 10 years ago. Urbanization, competitive markets, pests and disease, competition for resources. It's a changing game, but it is still a vibrant industry, and renewable energy offers it another way of becoming part of a prosperous 21st century economy, a prosperous and profitable 21st century industry, and there's real money flowing into that right now. BP, no small-time startup, is pairing up with a major landowner in the state of Florida, 20,000 acres, to grow renewable energy crops. That's a real investment. That's a game changer. Cuba is a game changer for Florida. One way or the other, it's a game changer. If there is not a stable transition of power, it is a major humanitarian crisis for the state of Florida. If the president wakes up tomorrow and decides to normalize relations, which appears to be the direction he is going, it is a major competitor for private capital. It is a competitor for tourism dollars. It is a competitor for capital infrastructure. And it is an opportunity for every Floridian who's ever stared across the Gulf and looking for the green flash and wondered what it would be like to get back over there and see what it's like. But it's a game changer for the state of Florida in so many ways. A hurricane is a game changer for the state of Florida. And it doesn't even have to be a big one. Our state is in a precarious fiscal position if hit by a storm. And that will require some very difficult decisions. Our legislature made some very difficult decisions. And I wish that their policy had seen its way to fruition, because we have to get private competition back into Florida. The best example I have for why you don't want the public option in health insurance is the public option you already have in property and casualty insurance. Hometown democracy is a game changer. It is a ballot initiative that is gathering signatures as we speak. It will be on the next ballot. If it passes, it will subject every comprehensive plan change to a vote. Your ballot could be 20 pages long if that becomes the law of the land. We will look back on that day, if that passes, and say that's the day that Florida became Eastern California, because that's what it will do to our planning process. That is a game changer. So, as we look at all these issues, the opportunity that is there is that for the first time in 100 years, Florida's cabinet will have a total clean slate. Everybody's moving around, and no one will be back in their same seat regardless of the outcome of the elections. Florida's cabinet's the outgrowth of the Civil War. Floridians didn't like who Washington was sending them as their governor, so they decided to water down the power of the governor among 7 people. 10 years ago, that was shrunk from 7 to 4. And so the governor, the attorney general, the CFO, and the commissioner of agriculture, God bless his soul, is on the board of directors of the state of Florida. They all have an equal vote. Governor's is a little bit more equal. If there's a tie, it goes the governor's way. But that body regulates insurance policy. That body regulates banking policy. That body regulates energy policy, land acquisitions, sovereign submerged lands, which are marinas and docks and things like that. It is the county commission for the state of Florida, if you will. People can go up there every other Tuesday and testify before them. It's a unique system of government, but it's one that's worked for a long time. All of those positions are important. And it is important for Florida to put the best possible team on the field to implement that vision of competitiveness. We're not losing jobs to the UK and to Germany and to Italy. We're losing home developments, jobs, corporate relocations to North and South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas. That's our competition, and we have to have a statewide policy that understands who the competition is and how we're going to go beat them. That's why I've decided to come home from Washington. I didn't think it would be such a surprise to all of my common sense Floridians that someone would want to leave Washington voluntarily. I knew nobody in Washington would get it. Pastor, I had to get out while my soul was intact.